Welcome to Healing Wednesdays, Circle of 12. I am Lee Carroll.
And I'm Monica Morani.
Happy Wednesday, July 12th. Well, we're here every Wednesday with special guests, questions and answers, discussions, meditation, and channeling. Last week, I gave a lot of information on healing and how it all works, but mostly in reference to my own situation, I also answered the big question, hey, Lee, why didn't you heal yourself instead of having open heart surgery? Well, that's a good question, and I feel my comments helped to answer that a lot. I answered quite a lot of questions about that entire healing process and what happened and what this show is actually for. So if you missed that explanation, I would encourage you to visit your portal, find the replay for last week's program. That would be July 5. However, I've also created a full video on this entire subject, which goes far beyond what I gave you last week, and you can find that on YouTube.
I love that Lee was sharing all that information with us, and I do encourage you to go and have a look at what he shared on YouTube. So last week we began with an affirmation for the month of July, and it involved the magnificence of your soul. Just like we've done before, we're going to say the affirmation 3 times, and you are invited to participate along with us, and you'll see the words on your screen to help make that easy. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Let's suspend time for just a moment. Relax your body. Soften your breathing, focusing on nice, slow breaths, moving in and out of your abdomen and chest. Dear Creator, thank you for being a part of me. I affirm that you love me beyond measure and have given me the gift of free choice to discover the God within. I claim the magnificence of my soul. I invite the energy of my soul to become even more enhanced in my daily life. The expression of my soul in the form of love and compassionate action to others reminds me of my own divinity. All is well, and all that is happening is for my highest good.
Dear Creator, thank you for being a part of me. I affirm that you love me beyond measure and have given me the gift of free choice to discover the God within. I claim the magnificence of my soul. I invite the energy of my soul to become even more enhanced in my daily life. The expression of my soul in the form of love and compassionate action for others reminds me of my own divinity. All is well, and all that is happening is for my highest good.
Dear Creator, thank you for being a part of me. I affirm that you love me beyond measure and have given me the gift of free choice to discover the God within. I claim the magnificence of my soul. I invite the energy of my soul to become even more enhanced in my daily life. The expression of my soul in the form of love and compassionate action to others reminds me of my own divinity. All is well, and all that is happening is for my highest good.
Thank you, Monica. I personally feel that it's a wonderful way to begin the evening, don't you think? And again, we're going to say these specific affirmations for the next episodes for this entire month.
So what I'd like to do now is share some questions that have been asked in our membership portal, and I'm very excited because the theme of both these questions is all about Lemuria. And I'm going to answer this first question myself, but here's the question. Mary Ann from Cape Town in South Africa says that a contrast of information came to my mind when Kryon spoke about the Lemurian Star Mother teachings on the teaching wheel when you read an extract of a lesson for the concept of reincarnation. In that extract, we met the caterpillar called Little Hungry that represented the Lemurians' reincarnation process. However, previously, we were told we had only ever been Lemurian once, meaning we only had one lifetime in Lemuria. So my linear mind couldn't figure this out. Could you please explain? The question involves the Lemurian teaching wheel, and it's a masterclass series offered within our Chrysalis Academy. We've actually given several extracts of the lessons that we have in that class within the Healing Wednesday programs. And the one that Miriam is asking about, it was given on March 22, 2023, and it's Healing Wednesday episode 124. That lesson was about how the Star Mothers taught the concept of reincarnation in Lemuria. And Miriam is correct, is that there does appear to be a contradictory information. So let me explain. For many years, the information from Kryon was that you only got one incarnation in Lemuria. And the interpretation that Lee and I made was that you only had one lifetime in Lemuria. But Kryon never said lifetime, he said incarnation. And then Kryon said you incarnated somewhere else. So we actually gave that interpretation, one lifetime in Lemuria, in our free All About Lemuria video. And it's even written that way in my book, The Women of Lemuria. However, now we realise our interpretation was not correct. The correct information was actually revealed during the study of the Center Return Spoke of the Lemurian teaching wheel. Here is the correction. The one incarnation in Lemuria is defined as staying in the Lemuria forever pool. In other words, those in Lemuria reincarnated back to Lemuria many times. The one incarnation, which is what Kryon always said, was actually a metaphor for staying in Lemuria for the entire time that it existed. So there was no real contradiction. It was just our misinterpretation of Kryon's words. We never ever knew this until we began the lessons on the teaching wheel. Kryon is showing more and more what life was like in Lemuria, and it's being done in a way we never imagined. As the lessons continue, the information becomes more detailed and complex, and we haven't even finished yet. It's so exciting for us to learn new information and receive clarity on how core spiritual truths were taught. So I love the question, since only the Chrysalis Academy students have received the clarification, and now our Healing Wednesday community and all the members here can receive it as well. Our next question comes from Marie. Marie is from Dunedin in New Zealand. Kia ora, Marie. And she's asking, I'm wondering whether the Indigenous Hawaiian people of today are descendants of ancient Lemurians, or was Lemuria completely abandoned after the mountain partially sank and then repopulated later via the Pacific migrations?
Hi, Marie. The answer is really simple, but I'm going to make it a little more expanded for people who don't really know about what Kryon has said about Lemuria, and you'll see. You know, Kryon doesn't talk much about anyone actually staying in Lemuria after the mountain began to sink. Now, for those of you who have never heard this full story, just let me bring you up to speed. And I like talking about it because there are many of you who don't know about it. It's all on the Lemurian teaching wheel, and we've talked about it a lot of time, even in the conferences, but here it is. Kryon's message and teaching for over 30 years, and it told us that the Hawaiian Islands, as we know them today, are only the very tips of a huge mountain that sunk to its current level as we see it today. When it was there, it was the highest mountain on Earth, which existed until about 16,000 years ago, according to Kryon, when it started to sink. Kryon tells that the mountain itself was a big mountain because it was pushed up by a large bubble of magma under it, and that it had existed like that for hundreds of thousands of years. When the magma bubble began to shift under it and relieve itself, and the lava started coming out due to natural plate tectonics, as we know today, the islands, it slowly sank to where it is today. The tips are there. There are the Hawaiian Islands. Well, the bubble of magma was, as it was going down, it was slowly redistributed, all that magma as lava, which flowed from the many volcanoes around the area. There is no geological proof of this. I'm aware of that. Quite often, channeling is like that. But there is precedent. In the valleys of Yellowstone National Park, there are clear marks of major glacial activity that was there millions of years ago. That's right in the middle of a valley, caused from a mountain that got pushed up in the identical way from a bubble of magma and then sank, according to geologists. So there's the precedent. Yellowstone, like Hawaii, is still a very active volcanic area. So it's interesting to see the same attributes in the history that Kryon said happened in Hawaii. Now, when the Pacific Islands, as we know today as Hawaii, were pushed up into a giant mountain, in all of its majesty, higher even than Mount Everest, Kryon said it was the mini-continent of Lemuria. And that's where we get the idea of a mini-continent. This information has been echoed by others over the years, way even before Kryon. Our teaching course, the Lemurian Teaching Wheel, represents core spiritual information that was taught when Lemuria was stable, long before it sunk. Kryon also says that the mountain took a very long time to sink, and that the Hawaiian Islands today represent, everybody left. That's what I think, and Kryon pretty well has echoed that. After all, there was every indication it was going to sink all the way under, and the volcanic activity that was increased during that time must have been very frightening to the inhabitants. So I don't think anybody actually stayed, and that is the answer to your question. It also lends credibility to who the Hawaiians claim as their ancestors today, the Polynesians. So I would say that they're right, and that's where they came from. However, esoterically, there could still be the energy there of some of the very high shamanic souls of Lemuria. Kryon has told us that there are places, especially on the island of Kauai, where the ancient mythological Menehune reside. Now, although the mythology has them as dwarfs, who knows? Kryon tells us that everything is not as it seems.
I love that phrase, everything is not as it seems, but what I want to share with you about the whole subject of Lemuria and the Star Mothers and the core teachings, and many of you may be thinking, was I there? Was I not there? I think those questions are probably not even relevant as the question that is now not permanent. I'm trying to find the words. The question now is, what is my purpose of being alive here on the planet now? And I feel that part of the answer to that question is to really have mastery in your daily life and to be in balance and have that wisdom. If you are watching this program, then you have an akash that is so rich in all your experiences that you have this hidden well of wisdom and experience and knowledge that already exists within you. And it's about being in that balance and mastery. And that's all it is. It just takes all of us being in balance and mastery. And so my meditation right now before we do a Kryon channel is just to remind ourselves that we have everything we need within us, and it's just about becoming coherent with your soul energy. So let's do that. Let's create some coherence with our soul energy. I invite you to close your eyes and allow your body to relax. In this moment, there is nothing to do but to be fully present with your breathing in and out, very slowly breathing in and out. And I invite you to place your awareness, your attention to the area of your heart. And as you breathe in and out, you're keeping your awareness and your attention on the area of your heart. And then as we continue breathing in and out, place your attention to the area of your brain. As you keep breathing in and out, place your awareness.
And to be hit by your own car. I realized I was that powerful.
I hope it wasn't called Christine. Sorry, bad joke.
Yeah.
Bad joke.
So that's actually, I laugh at it now, but my daughter was there. She was 3 at the time, and it was traumatic for both of us. And then another accident happened where I broke my knee in 3 spots and my ankle. It was ridiculous. I ended up being in like a wheelchair with a full leg cast. And I said, I'm feeling God. And I'm like, what else would you like? I thought I was on my path. So this is when the dream started happening. So I remember vividly, it was June of 2010, and I'm sitting, I'm laying down and I'm falling asleep. And I have this one particular dream where I'm walking into a chapel, and my daughter is on one side, so we're walking in, and then I have a little boy on the other side. And now I just miscarried a girl, so I knew it wasn't her energy. And I'm being pulled to the altar by Beethoven, who is one of my most favorite composers. And it was very, very clear. It was happening. So I remember moving through and going to the altar, and he said, you must bring the piano upstairs into the higher part of the chapel. And so I went downstairs where the piano was. I couldn't see it, and it was very, very dark for me in the dream. And then I went up and told him, well, you have to come and help me. So he came down, and at that time, the lights went on. There was a burst of light around him, like it was the second coming with Beethoven. And he was telling me about the chapel, and the music must go up. You must move the piano up. And I knew symbolically it was sacred music for me and the chapel. And at that particular time, my daughter in real life was crying on I could hear her on the baby monitor. So I get up and I scoot over to my nightstand and I turned the light bulb, and the light bulb exploded. So I wrote that dream down. So I knew that was a visitation. At that point. So I progressed on my path for healing and writing music for consciousness and really just deep healing music. And then 2012 came, and I decided I wanted to leave the institution, the teaching in schools. I was, the commute was a lot, and I had already taught about 20,000 students. So I had kind of reached my max there. So I thought, I'm going to open up my own center for sound, intuition, spiritual development, healing. And I live in Newtown, Connecticut. So at that point, I was thinking about where I could find my space. So I wanted to be right next to my daughter's school. There was some kind of an intuitive thing that I felt. And I had just given a birth to my son, interestingly enough, from my dream. So 2012, I had a son, and my ex-husband at the time, or my husband at the time, we're no longer married, he said, well, why don't you look at that chapel around the corner? I'm like, what chapel? So he said the chapel is for sale. So I walk into this church. It's a small 1800s church. And I realized that I was supposed to have that church. So like any rational minded person, I took out my entire annuity. I buy this church, and we renovate it. And it was the summer of 2012, and I have another dream. And in this dream, I'm in this area, which I knew it was the church, this big wood floor, and all of these dead bodies started to wash up and pile up on each other. And I remember asking, with my hands open, I said, what am I supposed to do with these? And I heard this big, loud voice that said, you're hired. And then I woke up. And I wrote that down too. And then, so about a month later, we were renovating the church so that I can do the work. And I picked my opening date for December 15th of 2012. Now I'm so excited. I'm doing something that's very, very progressive. And, there's not a lot of conscious centers open in 2012. So this is where another peeling off of the onion layer happened. So it was December 14th, and they were putting in the sign for my center. And then I get the call that my daughter was in lockdown for the Sandy Hook shooting. So my center was the first place open literally the day after. The first people that came through my doors was the New York Times. So, yeah, so I was opened, I was called, I followed this intuition that made no sense to anybody else but me. I'm following this trail of knowing, and I was there for my community and the surrounding communities, and I learned pure service. And that was one of a very, very challenging time, but very rewarding. I was able to help people connect to their children. The past, again, at that time, I was getting a lot of dreams where the children were coming to me and they were telling me that they were not gone. They were still there.
This is, I don't want to run out of time too, because we want this. At what point did you lose your beloved?
So fast forward so I ended up having to face my marriage. We ended up breaking up. I had 2 children. And so I was like, I was good. I'm good I needed to work on myself for 2 years. So that's what I did. I really surrendered into self-love. And then a knock on my door came, literally through Facebook. And there were so many signs around this that I had to go this way. And so we met a few times. And again, I wasn't really ready, nor did I want a partner at this time. But again, the signs, I could not ignore them. The second time I met him, I had this download that we were incarnated in the time of Jesus and we were there. And it was just like a huge download. And I'm like, we were there. And so it kind of came continuously through our time together. When we were together, we were like not even here. It was a relationship from a different dimension. It was so magical. And every day we would fall more and more and more in love with each other. But unfortunately, in the 3D physical world, we were being torn apart a lot. We couldn't come together, not because of us, but because of outside forces. It made no sense to either one of us. So then, but even though we were with these challenges, we grew more and more in love with each other. I mean, it just grew. And then COVID, it was a lockdown in COVID. And I remember specifically 2020, I was doing a short leave and rebuilding a program. And we get the call that the schools are going to close. And I knew from being a teacher for 20 something years, schools never close. So I had called my beloved and I said to him, this is showtime. This is why we're here. This is it. It's time. So we were working on, I did a lot of ceremonies around here, lifting up the frequency during the time. And the courts were shut down. And again, we had a lot of outside forces that were somewhat against us being together, which was very, very strange. And then one day he didn't call me, and he called me every morning to send me beautiful sacred texts, just beautiful, beautiful things. And I had dropped my kids off at school and I went to the Airbnb where he was and I found him. He died. And I knew he didn't die because I don't believe in death. But the physical part was, So what happened was, of course, I went to shock. We were just together the day before. We were climbing a mountain. It was just so magical. There were signs even before we were together. I saw the signs that he knew that something was going to happen. And my heart, it was even after everything I already gone through, my heart was just shattered beyond belief. I didn't, as anybody, grief is grief. And I knew intuitively that I needed to feel this grief because I didn't want it to come back to be another form, like a form of cancer or something. So I needed to be in it. But what was happening was something very physical, the grief, the sadness, but my heart was, it was like a stabbing pain in my heart that it was like part of me got decapitated or cut off. And so I remember about a week later, I finally get in the tub, and because I wasn't eating, I just obviously grieving. And I remember my heart started rapidly beating, and I knew that it wasn't a panic attack. I was kind of beyond that, all of that. I just knew that we're so powerful that our soul could just take us out of the game or the play. And I remember that part of me really wanted to go. I wanted to go be with him because I just knew what I knew about our love, and it was from some other time, space, reality. It was we were one even here. And so I remember praying, I'm like, I need all guides, all angels on call, because you need to keep me back in my body. So because my son's 10th birthday was the next day, so I couldn't have him find his mother here in the tub. So I felt a rainbow of energy and coming in, and then my heart stopped beating so fast, and then I got out. And then about a week later, same thing happened. I dropped my kids off at school. They were going to be with their father for a few days, so I had the time to just really sit with myself. And at that particular time, I was hearing him say in my head, don't be attached to the form. We're working with you on form. I'm still here. I'm still supporting you. I'm still devotionally to you. We're working on the form. Don't be attached to the form that I was in. So I felt him. It was just the heart, the pain. I didn't know what to do with that. So I came home. I sat on my moss hill. I started to meditate just so that I could connect and breathe. And that's when I felt the heart again, the heart palpitations, and just, it hurt. So I heard in my head, it said, let go. And so I ended up going into my bedroom, laying down. And at that particular time, I hear these ducks and these animals across the street because they have a farm. So I'm listening to their sound, and I'm just relaxing my breath, relaxing and relaxing and relaxing. And I started to slow down my heart all by my pranayama, my breath work. And at that particular time, I kept hearing, let go. And I slowed my heart rate so slow that it was barely beating. And then I remember, like, it was so vivid where the audio sound in my ear, I was listening to the ducks, and the audio closed up like a big black, just like this, like tunnel. The audio closed up, and my heart beat the last time. I heard the last heartbeat. And at that particular time, I ended up closing my root energy center, closing every energy center. This was in a matter of like 2 seconds. So it takes a longer time for me to explain it. But I pushed up, I spiraled out of my crown, out of my head. I heard a pop, and I popped out. And I didn't see my body. I just went right into the black void, the dimension of the void, which for me, it felt like I could breathe. Like it was just, it was sort of, I don't know if it was like a cosmic reset, but it felt like a place where I could just be. I didn't have to worry about anything. I just didn't have to do anything. I just was. And I felt like the all presence, it was just infinite. So there was nothing other than blackness up, blackness down, no body.
Wow. And so, Aurelia, I want to just interrupt because we are watching the clock and we have just a few minutes left to go. I want to make sure we get a vocal technique
but I want to
in
hear.
there.
But that's the crux. Did you meet him there? Did he talk to you there?
I heard the presence in my head.
Yes.
And the presence,
Yes.
I asked, can I go home now? Well, the presence invited me and said, you may come home. You have accomplished enough.
And that, I think that's the turnaround point.
Yeah.
As I would say, of all the things that have happened in your life, this is fresh. And now that you've given the dates and all those things, this is still fresh. You develop something after that, and that's what we're really getting at too here, that is beyond anything you had before. I think you are in touch with that void, that source, more than ever before, and it shows perhaps in your music, in your teaching, and you're still connected to him. Am I wrong?
You are absolutely correct. When I decided to come back, I came back. I was depressed because I thought I missed my exit point. But I'm here. I could not leave my children. I didn't want them to grieve the way I didn't want that for them. And then after that, I said, well, I know you're not dead. I can hear you. I'm going to find you. So that's when I learned how to channel. If I could channel music, why can't I channel my beloved? So I ended up learning how to bring him in to me, his energy inside. So we were literally two souls in one body. That is actually the true essence, the true definition of twin flames is the two merging into one. So I can feel him. He comes in, he comes out. It has been the most extraordinary journey ever. It would not have this growth if he didn't decide to go.
That's exactly right. That is the definition of twin flames, and you're experiencing it even out of the physical. What I would love you to do right now is give us just a little sample of this singing. I heard a little bit of it, and it made me cry. I mean, you just open up and you're there. And so would you do a little bit of that for us?
Sure. So I could teach your audience the Ho'oponopono, if you'd like that.
We've done that before with another guest.
Yes.
What I want is the purity of your voice, which I found so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will do a mantra or a chant. Mantra is mind. Tra is sound that changes the mind. For peace, loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. And may my thoughts, words, and actions assist with that freedom for all. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
That was exquisite.
I just want that to go on and on. Have you recorded any of that?
It's on that particular piece is on my Goddess Rising album.
All right.
2014.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Is it a cappella or is it with bowls?
It's with the piano.
Okay. Have you done any a cappella?
I do. I sing a lot with my Tibetan singing bowls.
Well, I would recommend it. I think that your voice alone, just like that, is very, very powerful. I know we're over, and it's okay. But would you like to say anything to our audience before we go to break?
Final words.
Well, I would like to thank them for being here and listening and being a witness to the story. And I do want to encourage everyone to just go towards their heart space. Their heart is so connected to the soul. And when they connect to the soul and to source, nothing is more powerful than that. And then that within you. And you are that. and that is you. And we are all love, we are all light, and we are connected beyond all we could ever imagine.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Aurelia. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell them where they can
Thank you,
find her.
me, Monica.
Pleasure.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Pleasure. So if you enjoyed Aurelia, her website is aureliaslight.com. It's in the chat, but you'll also see it on the replay if you scroll down below the video. You will find that she has a vocal sound healing academy on her website. So if you are wanting to get more in touch with your voice and the healing it can do for you, or receive the healing from Aurelia's voice, please go and have a look at her website. But right now, we are going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll see you back here for the Circle of 12. And make sure you come back, because I have a special announcement of a gift from Aurelia when we come back from the break.